people.
Good evening.
Graywolf, Petruzzi here.
It's Adam Dubbin here. We're here at Wekiva Springs State Park in Florida. And tonight we're going to have a little fireside chat with you. Jim, tell us what you like to accomplish out of events like this.
Yeah, I think we're going to do multiple things here, or try to. And we'll want to hear from you on how we do this. We'll continue to cover things that are going on protest-wise and legally-wise with Standing Rock, with Florida, with all the other protest areas. But a lot of that we cover in the group and the groups constantly, day and night. So we don't want to just focus on those things, or if we do, we want them to be a little bit different than what we cover in the Facebook groups. So I want to look at some of those things tonight. I want to look at some of the legal issues coming up in multiple states, because again, this is about Water is Life, the movement, not just any one protest. So we will do a little bit of that, but we also want to continue to talk about water as a resource, as part of nature, as part of our physical body, as our need. It's different values, not just its value as drinking water, but it's other values as well. It's value in healing that we talked a little bit about last night, in relaxing, all the other values of water. Because why do we care about it if we don't understand all its different values? So for me, that's what I'm seeing, kind of a mix. Some political things, some action-based things. We want to let you know when things are coming up, or to go look in your own area for things that are coming up. But then also some, what are we seeing when we're out here, right in the middle of the resource?
Yep. And we're seeing the way that things should be. We're getting a more intimate relationship. We're building an intimate relationship with the waters and the lands and everything that you've gotten to see since you've been here, and that I took Sue to see today. So we've got Jody says hi. I'd like to say hi back to Jody.
Hi, Jody.
All right, so what we're going to do is just kind of let the audience build a little bit here, because it takes a few minutes for Facebook to sort of get everything going. We got a fire here. It's another nice and cool night. You'll see that tonight I actually have a sweatshirt on as opposed to just a t-shirt. So the nips started a little early. Last night was actually a pretty cold night. And I slept in a tent without the rain fly, and I got a good chill. It was nice because we're not going to get much cold weather coming up here in Florida anymore. This is kind of the end of it. So I got to cherish that. Then today, Sue and I went for a bit of a paddle, and we saw some interesting fauna. We came across a 2.5-foot alligator, and I was really hoping that they would get a chance to see an alligator, or at least one of them, while they were here, as that is sort of the state mascot. And it was a very fun moment. We actually spent about 5 minutes. So we're just floating around, taking pictures, just observing him, and sort of letting him observe us back. We saw some nice birds, like we saw a snowy egret, saw some fish, all sorts of fish from little fry to catfish and bass. It was very nice. It was very nice. So this was the Wekiva Springs Run that runs out of Wekiva Springs that we paddled down. So part of it is State Park. Part of it goes into Seminole County, and there's the Wekiva Marina there where people congregate, and you can buy beer, you can buy food, you can sit next to the water, you can get in the water, play with the water. There's a sandy area, there's kind of a quasi-beach type of thing. You can rent kayaks, you can return your kayaks. We went a little further down, saw a little houseboat along the river, and we turned around before where Sue had reached yesterday, but we wanted to get back up before the sun got too far down where it was in her eyes, and she missed a lot of the stuff yesterday because of that. So everything went very well. It's been a long time since I've been on this run, so I got an opportunity to sort of re-familiarize myself with some aspects of it. So it was a good day. It was a good day for both of us. And Jim, while we were out doing that, they brought some dogs. They've got their 2 dogs, Onyx and Crystal, and they can't go unsupervised, and that's not responsible dog owning, dog fathering and mothering. So He took him for a walk over near a lake, around a lake with some marsh. And I'd like for him to talk a little bit about what he saw as far as just the Florida ecosystem, the Central Florida ecosystem he got to observe.
Yeah, that's a part of the system here that's still pretty pristine, pretty clean. Of course, it's heavily managed. It's a state park. But we started walking off along one of the marked trails today, and it was fairly open with palmetto and some scrub, some grasses, pine trees. But after we went in a little bit, it changed very dramatically into also almost a tropical environment. So the trees and the underbrush and everything, the palmettos, everything was quite dense. And the humidity went up dramatically. The temperature went up. So it was kind of like walking through a door. We kept walking. We found a large lake, and we started going around that. Got about 3/4 of the way around, only to hit a swampy area that we couldn't get through. So we had to come back again the way we went. And I took some little side trails coming back. So what I thought was going to be just a little walk turned into, I don't know, somewhere around 8-9 miles, I suppose, I'm guessing. So I was pretty wiped out. The dogs were pretty wiped out, but it felt good. It was very, I needed to let a lot of things go through my spirit today, because all these things we're doing with Standing Rock, with Water is Life, with what's going on down here in Florida, it starts to really come at you so much you can't start to separate the pieces. So some things were working their way through my awareness today, and I intentionally tried to do what I suggested to you all last night. At some points I tried to just stop thinking and let just go into my heart, just feel where I was today and what I was doing, and it was pretty effective. But then afterwards, as I rested a bit, I was thinking about some of the things going on. So we'll fill you in on some of the events coming up, some of the actions coming up, some of the things we are aware of, and maybe you all are aware of more. Feel free to let us know. Actually, let Adam know I'm having some issues with my phone. It looks like I got hacked.
Yeah, well, no, you had a Sacred Water Camp sent you an email that was tainted with some sort of malware.
Yeah.
So we don't know exactly what's going on with that. So, as always, be very vigilant when opening your email, because there's especially where we're at right now. There are a lot of malicious people out there looking to kind of throw a monkey wrench into things. So that wasn't good. We're still working on that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a moment here to kind of look at some events coming up here in Florida, to give you an idea of, and there's a lot of things going on. It's going to take me a second to bring this up, so I apologize for the dead air. But
well,
Jim?
Adam's doing that. Here's one we can kind of work on together. I find this one to be extremely disturbing, and it's one that we need to pay attention to. That's the states, and I understand there's 10 of them now. There may be more by now, but there was 10 as of yesterday that are trying to pass laws to make protest illegal, to make it a felony. And I know one of them is my own state, Colorado. And Jody, I think you're on, maybe someone else is. We're speaking out about that, or they are so far since I'm here. But I know there's other states. We know North Dakota is a second one. I don't know what the other states are. So if any of you are out there and you know your state is doing that, why don't you let us know? Let's list these states. Let's make sure that people in those states are totally aware of what's going on, because that's a really scary scenario. That goes even beyond the Water is Life movement. That's for anything. Any kind of protest, they're going to say it's no longer a misdemeanor, but a felony charge, and you can go to prison for it. Now, when we're not even allowed to speak, things are happening much quicker than I thought, and not in a good way.
Not at all. Not at all. So, speaking of getting out and speaking, exercising your First Amendment right.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little about what we've got coming up here in Central Florida, and maybe some other places if I've got some here in here. But we'll start with here in Orlando. Tomorrow we have Orlando Says No Dapple, No Sable Trail Pipeline. Starts at 1 p.m. And you can find this event at 512 East Washington Street, Orlando, Florida, 32801. I believe that's the what do you call that thing? It's the
Capitol?
No, it's a place where you hear music, but it's an open shell and amphitheater.
Oh.
It's an amphitheater. And so yes, and that's right on Lake Eola. Okay, then there's also No Dapple, No Keystone XL, No Sable Trail Pipeline, Line Southern with Signs. And that is on South Southern Boulevard. This is tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. on Southern Boulevard, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33411. Okay, so that's basically the same demonstration but being held in West Palm Beach at 1:30 instead of 1. It says here in details, everyone should line up by 1:30. We think he will pass by well before 2:30. He being, I'm not 100% sure. Okay, I guess that you keep reading and actually it clears that up. So earlier this week, President Donald Trump commented that the Dakota Access Pipeline and Keystone Pipeline were not controversial and implied that we, the people, did not care. The U.S. Army has announced that they will allow the DAPL to go forward under Trump's executive order. Here in Florida, we're being threatened by another pipeline, the Sable Trail Pipeline, which would be critically detrimental to our waters, lands, and ecology. We, the people, must stand up in solidarity with water protectors and send a clear message to President Trump on his way out of our fair county. We do care, we reject your misguided executive orders, and we will resist with all of our might any and every pipeline which threatens our nation's ecology. So join us Sunday, February 12th, as we once again see Trump out of town. We will not meet in a centralized location, but rather stretch ourselves out along the sidewalks of Southern Boulevard between Flagler Drive and the Palm Beach International Airport, so that he cannot avoid us, but see us standing in solidarity and opposition. Where you choose to park and stand is up to you. Ideally, we will have people spread along the entire route with signs, flags, banners, and chants expressing our respect for our environment. We will update closer to the day when we have a more exact idea of when his motorcade will pass. So the update was, the first thing I read was everyone should line up by 1:30 p.m. We think he will pass by well before 2:30. The FAA has his flight scheduled for departure between 3 and 4. Okay, everyone, so if you're in Southeast Florida and you're not happy with the president's shenanigans, for lack of a better word, go out there, be seen, and be heard. I want to jump back to the one I talked about before, and just let's see the details here. So for Orlando, it's just come out and get educated about what's going on and educate others. Let's coordinate our efforts and see how we can get involved going forward. Bring drums, flutes, sage, and of course, your water is life signs. All right, folks, so tomorrow, that'll be here in Orlando again, on Lake Eola. Sunday is my mandatory work day for my job because I'm not a jobless hippie, like some people seem to think that are involved with this. So I won't be able to be there, but there will be people who are able, so please be there. Okay, so Tuesday. On Tuesday, demand Bill Nelson's response. So Bill Nelson is a senator here in Florida, a Democratic senator, and has been for too long. There was a point in time where Bill Nelson was a servant to his constituents, but he has not been that in quite a long time. If you've been around for long enough, you remember that Bill Nelson actually went up in one of the shuttles. He's been to space, and he is a sort of a vestige of an earlier version of the Democratic Party. So I am personally not really happy with him, and I haven't been for a good decade and change. But I do remember a time when he was a good politician. So what I think we're going to try to do is try to get to him and get him to reach back inside and find where he was before. So demand Bill Nelson's response. This is happening at 2555 Ponce de Leon Boulevard, Miami, Florida, 33134. And again, this is on Tuesday. And let's read the description real quick here. Join us, Miami-Dade Green Party, Progress for All, Progressive Alliance, South Florida Water Protectors, and 350 South Florida as we come together on Tuesday to demand a response to our signed petition to stop the Sable Trail. Senator Bill Nelson received our petition on December 29th with over 98,000 signatures to stop the Sable Trail pipeline. We have not heard back from Bill Nelson on this urgent petition, and we are coming together to demand an answer to our petition. And there's a link in here. Sable Trail Pipeline is a 500-mile-long pipeline endangering Florida's aquifers, the health of millions of people and wildlife. All right, so all of this is stuff that I've read before, but there are some links in here to the various organizations involved. So that is, once again, Demand Bill Nelson's Response, and this is on Facebook. If you look that up in the search bar, you should be able to find it. Okay, then let's see what we've got here. And so what this is Campaign Action Night, Palentine's Day. This is February 14th, Tuesday. And this is Greenpeace St. Pete, 233 3rd Street North, St. Petersburg, Florida, 33701. You will be in the area for that. Let me give you a bit of a description. So, hey pals, join us in showing our love for the earth. The Sierra Club's lawsuit filed against the FERC for their failure to have the environmental impact statement conducted by an independent company, along with their negligence for negligence in thoroughly considering public health and safety, is making. Excuse me, Siri, this is not the right time. Sorry about that. So, along with their negligence for. That's not a well-written statement, so I'm just going to skip that real quick. On April 14th, 2017, the Federal Energy Regulation Commission will be tried for their permitting procedure regarding the Sable Trail pipeline. So, this is in St. Petersburg. So, Campaign Action Night, Palentine's Day, P-A-L-Entine's Day. So that's what you'll look for there. And then on Tuesday also, what we have is Lava Yo Water, a Florida water benefit at 1904 Music Hall. And so 1904 Music Hall is on 19 North Ocean Street in Jacksonville, Florida, 32201. Let me do that zip again. 32202. That's going to be from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. And what's happening with that is this Valentine's Day Lava and the whole Trade Post crew are bringing everyone together to celebrate our love for Mother Gaia and each other through a night of music, live art, meditation, and education. Proceeds and collected donation supplies will go towards covering legal fees incurred by previous actions at Sable Trail, active water protection camps, and generating educational resources. Towards the end of the night, there will be an auction of live and donated pieces. We'll also begin and end the night with a group meditation and oming. So again, that's 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. $10 suggested donation per person, or $15 for two if you kiss your date. All right, so sounds like a good time to me. I see a lot of names that I recognize here on the educators. So if you are in the area, be there or be square. Again, you can find that on Facebook by searching in the search bar, Lava Yo Water, L-A-V-A, Yo, Y-O, Water, a Florida water benefit at 1904 Music Hall. Okay, and I'm just going to leave, actually one more I want to read here. So, Fire Season Ceremony, Earthways Shamanic Path. It's on Thursday the 16th. And what this entails is this is at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fort Myers, 13411 Shire Lane, Fort Myers, Florida, 33912. This is from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. The details are, we gather at 6:30 at the amphitheater to celebrate the start of fire season, one of the 4 locally observed seasons in the Florida branch of the Earthways Shamanic Path. Bring a potluck dish to pass and your rattles and drums. Fire season is about finding your passions and what matters to you in your heart. We will sing and dance and have a great bonfire. All right, so that is in Fort Myers, February 16th. That's a Thursday, 6:30 to 9:30, Unitarian Universalist Church of Fort Myers. So that's all I've got for upcoming events in these next few days. I'm going to pass the talking stick to our friend Jim Graywolf.
I almost took the talking stick before it was passed.
Actually, yeah. So we've got some comments that have accumulated since I started talking. So let's have you introduce your thing, and then we'll get to that.
All right. So some people were asking what Sue and I will be doing down here next. So I'll give you a general idea, because again, none of this is. We shift and change as things happen. Now that action will be happening down further south when we're there, we'll probably become a part of that. We're heading over to St. Petersburg soon. I was hoping tomorrow. I'm waiting to hear about a place we can stay there. But in the next day or two, we'll be heading over to St. Petersburg on the west coast. We're also thinking we will offer a evening program there. So for people in that area, look out for that. This one we're kind of doing last minute, waiting for a new friend to come up with some ideas. So watch for that. We will bring our drums, we will bring our sacred bowls, our songs, our teachings, the water, which we bring with us, and it is a cleansing and healing ceremony we do with water to help all of us in these times. And again, as with all our programs, it goes into our nonprofit, which goes into the Standing Rock and Beyond Water is Life movement. After that, we're going to be going further south, down to, help me out again, Adam.
I'm sorry?
Estero,
Florida. That's correct.
Estero, Florida. And spend about a week there. And we've got at least 2 things booked there. Those are posted on Facebook. You can find those. So if you're in that area, we'd love to have you join us in that. Beyond that, we will be meeting with additional people within the movement that Adam brings us to, and checking out the water resources on the West Coast side. So it gets very busy. Today was really nice to just pretty much take the day. Sue and Adam kayaking, and the dogs and I out hiking. Got to remember to do that once in a while. Everybody. Don't get so wrapped up in this work that you're just run. That's not the way to do it, I don't think. I was getting some of the other states who have things being started to outlaw protesting, to make it a felony to protest. And the ones I have so far now are Colorado, North Dakota, Washington State, Minnesota, Michigan, Iowa, and Indiana. There's at least 3 others. So if you guys are in those states and you know what they are, let's shout them out there. Let's make sure everyone knows. If you're in one of those states and you weren't aware of this, I would suggest strongly you find out what's going on and really make some phone calls, send some letters. If there's rallies, there have been rallies going on in the state. We have one going on, it might have been today, it might be coming up in Colorado. These are scary, scary laws. I mean, to stand up and just voice our opinion, we can suddenly be thrown into prison. It does not seem like the way this country was meant to be, at least not to me. If it is, it's a good time to get the heck out of here. But I don't cut and run. I stay and educate and then fight. So really find out about that. There's also coming up this week, it'll be Friday in some places, it'll be Saturday in others. It is posted around, I posted it all over various groups, from our friend Chester Roaming Wolf up in one of the North camps.
Sacred
Water Camp here is a silent protest day. Going to your seat of government, going to your senator's office, your capital, wherever, and just with the groups, and just stand silently. Please look for those posts and join in. These are really powerful. people who are bullies, people who are oppressors, never know what to do with people who are peaceful back. We've seen it now for months at Standing Rock, beautifully. Let's use that even more. These are just totally peaceful. You just stand there, you say nothing. Just stand there. You can be in prayer, you can be meditating, you can be whatever you want, but you don't say anything. And the thought is, the hope is to get this kicked off everywhere. So I find that a particularly powerful
Absolutely.
way to go about things.
Absolutely. So, I want to take a moment here to just go through the comments and see what we've got. So, starting here, so Sarah Janice tells us that Myron Dewey shared that the FBI is making arrests based on Facebook posts. That is not out of the realm of possibility from what I know. I haven't heard about this, so this is something to consider. I would like to know what kind of Facebook posts we're talking about here, because that's kind of a general thing, right? I mean, what exactly are you doing wrong? So if you certainly, no matter what, you certainly never want to post anything that will incriminate you, right? So don't post videos of yourself trespassing. Don't, just be smart about what you post. But we'll find out what exactly maybe Sarah's talking about here. So we got Francine Podensky, Washington, California. Hey, Francine. Kathleen Seifert. She's back to posting. She's at Standing Rock again. Excellent, Kathleen. Our love here in Florida to you up in North Dakota. Linda Hope says the North Dakota hate crime bill about not charging persons who allegedly unintentionally run over a protester with a car. Naming a group of people intentionally is a hate crime. Yeah, so I've heard about this. This is really disturbing. Even with what Jim was talking about, real quick, because this kind of ties in, with the right to protest. That is a First Amendment right. So, you would hope that the Supreme Court or lower courts would strike these down. But in this day and age, with the way things are going right now, it's hard to have a lot of faith that the system's going to do that. So, I mean, I want to believe that the Supreme Court would say, these are unconstitutional. And I feel like in years back, that was a justified faith. But I just don't know anymore. And we've got all these states trying to do it at once. We need to just be proactive and nip it in the bud now. Let our governments, our state governments, know that this is not acceptable. I know that there's a sense of irony in protesting a protest bill, but I think it's something that we certainly need to be vigilant about. So that's that. Thank you, Linda. Sue Altmeter, how did you feel about that group blocking the exit from a throughway protesting the pipeline? To me, that was going against the movement, as we want to keep it peaceful. That, I feel, is going to feed that law that they are trying to pass against protesting. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Jim? Have you heard about this event?
Yeah, I heard a little bit about it, and I tend to agree with you. We want to keep things peaceful. There's a fine line. There's some things, personally, I think you can do, which are still peaceful. People who chain themselves to a piece of equipment. In my mind, that's still peaceful, unless you're taking some kind of violent action. That's another way of silent protest. You're going to get yourself arrested, but you know that going in. But anything beyond that is not peaceful, yes, I think that hurts. They're already lying about things that are being done by peaceful protesters. We don't need to give them more ammunition. It's not going to be effective, I don't think, long run.
I think it's a similar thing to not using misinformation. We don't. Our focus is peaceful nonviolence and using the truth and facts to support what we're doing, because those are all on our side. So when you engage in any behavior outside of those parameters, then you're essentially creating a weak spot and creating an area that the opposition can use to diffuse the argument and to point and say, hey, look, they're not living up to their word. And in a way, that's not an illegitimate thing to do. I know that when I see the other side do it, I take advantage of that. So don't do that. Don't do the wrong things. Stay the course. It's a tried and true course. and we have a lot on our side. So Sylvia Harbor, getting back to our comments, says good evening, blessings. So good evening and blessings to you, Sylvia. Sarah Janice says Humboldt County, California. One of my favorite parts of California.
Yeah.
Rochelle Collier, Standing Rock on Vancouver Island, Canada. Excellent. Also, another great place to be. Here, the Whistler, close to there. Some great snowboarding and skiing. One of these days, I'd like to get out there. So, Lisa Girardi, our friend Lisa, Minnesota, Washington State, Michigan, Iowa, North Dakota, Virginia, Colorado, Missouri, North Carolina, Indiana are the states I'm aware of that are wanting to make protest laws.
Okay.
Did you catch any of those?
Yeah, I didn't.
It's in the comments if you want to go back and.
Yeah, I didn't have Virginia.
Each state is a bit different, but all of them are looking at doing this. So thank you, Lisa, for filling us in there. That was extremely helpful, and but that just shows you that it's a, that's a plethora. That's
and this, a side note to this, because it's something to think about. This isn't one we can totally blame on Trump. A lot of these were in the works long before he won the election.
You're absolutely right.
This is garbage that's been going on now for quite a while.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's believe me, I'm not standing up for Trump in any way. But let's not think this is all Trump. We'd make a huge mistake.
Yeah, we've been coming to where we are for a while, folks. This is just a culmination. It's like a really bad zit. We saw it coming, but it eventually came to a head. And it's ugly and it's nasty, and hopefully we can extract the disgustingness out of it and get ourselves back to business. So that's it for my anatomical analogies. Move on to Linda Hope here. You have the evidence to convict persons involved with trying to pass this bill into law, as its very nature is the definition of a hate crime. Don't hesitate. All right, so that's in reference to what Linda said earlier. So we said a couple things between then and there, so there's some detached, but go back in the comments and you can read what she said before. It'll make sense. All right, let's see. Got Jody Jacquino says there are also events in Florida on the 14th and 18th. I'll see if you add those later in the comments here. Diane Secchi, thanks for connecting everyone up in Florida, Diane. It's my pleasure. I enjoy bringing people to this wonderful place that we have. I have nothing against sharing it, so long as the people I share it with leave only their footprints. So Jody Jacquino says Colorado Legislative Committee meeting on the 16th in Denver, listed on her website. Yep. I'm assuming that's the Water is Life website?
Yeah, that's that Water is Life website. Get familiar with that, folks. Go to our group and find the website. Jody, maybe you can put that up again. Everything is on that website. It's an awesome tool.
It is a great tool.
Just go state by state, look and see what's there. If you know something that's not on there, send a quick note. Let's get it on there.
Yep.
The more information we can share, the more effective we become.
Yeah, I mean that is how we're going to win this, is by connecting with each other, connecting and uniting. Our friend Sister Ruth joined us.
One sec. We just got it from.
Hey, Sister Ruth.
You're right there, Sister Ruth. WaterIsLifeMovement.com. That's the website with the calendar.
The WaterIsLifeMovement.com.
Yep. So check that out. That's a great calendar, a great tool. Okay, back to Sister Ruth.
Oh, she just said hi. I'm going to put that URL also in the comments here, just to make sure that it is Water is Life Movement.com. Okay, put that in there. All right, so Sarah Janice also said March 4th, HSU Environment and Community Club having an event on Standing Rock and Kalamath River issues. HSU is where? I'm not sure. So if you can clarify that, Janice.
Yeah.
Sarah Janice, please do. Sister Ruth is in Utah, so that's cool to know. That is one of our places that is imperiled by significantly. In fact, Sister Ruth, I know that they're trying to sell off our national parks lands, and Utah is some ridiculous percentage of Utah is natural parks. It's also my understanding that the demographic out there tends to be very much like here in Florida, even though they are conservative, they're also very conscientious about the environment and using their environmental resources. So I know they're all up in arms. I saw a video today about one of the representatives getting an earful from an audience, telling him to do his job, and that is to serve his constituents. This is a topic. This is something we'll hear a lot. I talked about Bill Nelson not really serving his constituents anymore. We need to get politicians in who will. So this guy in Utah will see. We'll see if he passes the test or not. Okay, so just Sarah Janis, he mentioned it on his digital smoke signals live feed today. Did not specify. All right, so Lisa Girardi is in Indiana, so she's really paying attention to those protest laws. All right, so Sabian Mintier. It's not that they're being arrested for their posts. It's that protectors being arrested are being fined up to $1,000 in addition to their charges for posting posts on Facebook that the courts are deeming as an attack against the state in order to cause the state a loss of revenue. Thank you for that explicit answer, Sabian. That, I can see how that sort of makes sense, but that's, man, that's, we got to look into that and see what's going on with that. So thank you for that clarification. So Sister Ruth, what type of protests are they making laws about? Any demonstration. Any demonstration that is not, that doesn't have the approval of the local law enforcement, government, etc., etc. Lisa liked my zit analogy, so that's always funny. Let's see. Linda Hope, swear an affidavit before a judge with the proposal bill as evidence many witnesses filing charge of a hate crime. Okay, so she's talking about the hate crime thing still, which is an important topic as well. We talk about how the Water is Life movement is not exclusive of civil rights and all the other things that pertain to humanism. So let's pay attention to that. Sabian, our friend who hooked us up with some info earlier, he's in Illinois, and he's a Lacandon Mayan. Are you familiar with Lacandon?
No.
Okay. And spent a while out at Sacred Stone Camp. He's a vet, I'm assuming a veteran of war, and trying to get back on there in the next couple of weeks. Well, our blessings and our best mojo to you, Sabian. Hope you continue to do good work. All right. Oh, so Sarah was talking about Humboldt State.
Okay.
That was Humboldt State she was talking about, HSU. Thank you, Sarah. Linda says, your country is under attack from the people elected to govern the laws that are to protect the people. Time is running out to be proactive. That is 100% correct. And Sabian says that we need more vets to get back out to Sacred Stone. I agree. We also need to get some vets down here into Florida as well. We had a veteran arrested a couple months ago out at a resistance to the Sable Trail pipeline. And I believe it was either Dylan Hansen or Justin Harvey did a really good video. I believe it was Justin Harvey. But anyhow, these vets, when they were up at Standing Rock, they made a big impression, didn't they, Jim? I mean, the government responded to their presence a lot stronger than maybe some other people who'd be up there. What were your recollections about that part of the Standing Rock?
The vets? It's they definitely had a presence, and the police there didn't really know what to do with them. I think I've shared this before, but I heard from people there, some of the vets there, that when they were using the hoses and the rubber bullets, these people, protesters, were all lined up, vets, protesters from the camps. They always skipped the vets. They didn't hose the vets, they didn't shoot the rubber bullets at the vets, they skipped by them. Now they'd shoot the person next to them if they were just a protester in their mind. So they don't like the vets being around at all. Too much issue with trying to arrest or harass veterans. That could really rile up a whole group of people. So it made quite a statement. Unfortunately, there were huge blizzards when they were there. A lot of them never got to the camps or the protest sites. Some ended up being holed up in different places trying to wait out the storm. Now, I understand some vets have shown up again. We're trying to find out how many and from where. And honestly, we've not gotten straight answers on that yet. When we do, we'll post it on the big site and the other sites. all the water sites so people know. But it is my understanding there are some vets there again.
Excellent. So, and Sabian, our friend, he's a Army Airborne veteran, known as Airborne out at Sacred Stone. So, Airborne is his handle. So, if we see out there, if anybody sees a Sabian, then say, hey, Airborne. So, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate everything that you're doing, and I appreciate all you provided us tonight so far. Hopefully, we keep seeing you around. Great to have people like that. Here's another great person to have around. That's Sister Ruth. And she says that Obama made Bear Ears a national monument in December. That her senators and congressmen are trying to get it back to the state, presumably to drill. We couldn't get it in. Most of the state loves to participate in the outdoors, but they take very poor care of land and air. Water not discussed except for when we run out of it. So that's usually the case, isn't it? But it's hopefully out there in Utah, y'all can get your stuff together and make it happen. And if Utah can do it, anybody can do it. Florida can do it. Any of these states can do it. So, we have Deborah L. Bontempt. She heard that some vets won't come again because of this disorganization. Can we somehow figure out a way to better organize things? I don't want them to be deterred. So, I think what I'm thinking is what Jim just said about the blizzards and some of the complications.
That's part of it.
What do you think, Jim, on that?
You know, that's a tough one. And Sue and I did an event with the Vets for Peace to honor some of the ones from Colorado who went up there, and a couple of them who are going out on the road, who are out on the road now in other states checking out the protests, because they understand, like we do, the Water is Life movement, that it can't just be Standing Rock. And while some of those vets were a little disheartened by the disorganization. Remember, they're vets. They're used to the military way.
Very organized, very disciplined, very regimented.
That's not necessarily an indigenous way. When I first started working with indigenous cultures, I had to retrain myself in how I acted, what I said, how I thought, just like people from indigenous cultures have to do when they step into ours. So some of it was a cultural thing. A lot of it was the weather, and there wasn't anyone to help out because of that weather. It caught everyone flat-footed pretty much. It was much more of a blizzard than was expected. So there was that, and yet I heard tons of positive comments from the vets who were there, especially some of the ones who went back repeatedly. We had some in Colorado that went back and forth 5, 6, 7 times. And they will be going back again. Some of them now are in Texas. Some went to other states. That's also happening with some of our Native American brothers and sisters from Standing Rock who are going out to other areas as well. Everyone's trying to find their own way. Everyone is finding their own way to make this a movement of everyone. And so while some of the vets may have been disappointed or disheartened by some of the things up there, you know, we all know what's going on, and it's pretty intense. There's no way you can pre-plan any of this. You just got to take it as it comes.
We're getting a little smudge in here, aren't we?
Yeah, we really are. It smells great.
It does. So we've got Katrin Pope. Love, prayers, and blessings from Maryland. Thank you, Katrin. We were talking about Maryland a few days ago, and how you spent some time in Maryland, and you know, it's definitely some great waters there that have suffered a lot of damage, a lot of beatings, a lot of neglect.
Chesapeake Bay, for you in Maryland, you know what I'm talking about. When I was young, the Chesapeake Bay was alive and thriving. We could fish, we could crab, you would never deplete it, and then it was abused by just a small number of fishermen, but they completely changed the nature of the bay, and then some pollution issues after that. And so the Chesapeake's been coming back for, oh God, I guess it's decades now. Anyone from Maryland who wants to comment, feel free.
Yeah, Katrin, if you want to tell us what is happening
from your end,
we'd love to hear from you.
But that's an amazing body of water for sure.
Certainly is. It's one of the beautiful estuary that leads into an incredible bay. So Lisa Girardi, isn't there a Facebook for vets in Standing Rock? I thought I had seen something regarding this. We'll try to find it. Here's one, Veterans Respond. Have you heard about any Facebook Standing Rock veterans groups? Is that something you've been privy to?
Not really. There is Veterans Respond. If there's any others, I'm not aware. The Veterans for Peace are the veterans groups that are supporting a lot of this. And a lot of them have their own websites. Not very elaborate websites from the ones I've seen. But if anybody wants to do a Google search, let the rest of us know.
Please
Feel
do.
free, yeah.
All right, Linda Hope. Hi, used to call Campbell River home. Right. Lisa Girardi, and this group, from my understanding, is to help with financial situations. Gotcha. All right, so Rochelle Collier. This is Canada's largest and most environmentally destructive mega project ever. And if we don't rethink our dependency and stand against this massive energy and water wasteful venture, then we will have much more to worry about than just our economy. So she has a YouTube video here. I can't pull it up because I've got to keep the comments here. But if it's anything what I think it's, she's talking about, it's probably related to tar sands or what's going on in Alberta and some of the other areas of Canada where they're doing some intense fossil fuel extraction. And speaking, so Rochelle is in Vancouver. Let's see, am I going the wrong way? Hey, Angela, good to have you here. Sue Altmeter says weather is beginning to change at Standing Rock. Upper 30s, low 40s, snow melting, and cleaning up is in full force thanks to the vets.
That's almost tropic in Standing Rock this time of year.
Yeah. So Sabian tells us that many who came out to camp during the winter weren't expecting the weather conditions and were unprepared. I mean,
that's something we really need to, all of us involved in this, I don't care how you're involved. And in our groups, we kept telling people, don't go if you're not ready. But people tend to get all fired up and, emotional, and they want to go do something. You really need to listen to the people who are on the front lines, whether it's Standing Rock, Florida, I don't care where it is, and pay attention to what they're telling you. No one should have been surprised by the weather up there. Now, it got particularly extreme for a while, yes, but that's what happens up there. It can go to 30, 40 below, and it can hang there for a couple of weeks with heavy winds. You don't want to go if you're not totally prepared.
Those Great Plain winters are some of the most brutal winters on
my goodness,
the planet.
On the planet, that's right. Yeah.
All right, so Sabian also fills us in. We vets are currently being asked to return to Sacred Stone. We are going to shield and form a barrier to protect those behind us, and in hopes of getting a large number out there throughout the next few weeks. A lot of vets so the little typo there. A lot of vets that just arrived have come from the East Coast region, also California, Oregon, and Washington. So it looks like they are mobilizing, so that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me get caught up here.
So Jody's saying there's 2 groups of vets that got there yesterday. She doesn't know how many either, neither do I. They're raising more funds to send more vets up there. And I know they've raised pretty good funds in the past, so we'll probably be able to do that.
Okay, so Sabian now tells me that so it's pronounced La Condon. So that's the La Condon Mayan, or the southern tribe of the Maya Nation, the people of the south, out of Chiapas, Mexico, and Guatemala.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for that clarification. Let me see. This wind is not going to turn around. We may have to situate ourselves. I'm getting the worst of it right where I am. Sorry about that, folks. Just getting a face full of smoke here. All right, so back to where we were. Lisa tells us that Chesapeake Bay, she used to drink the water freely, and now she doesn't even want to swim in it. So that's that. That's sad. Very, very, very sad. So, So, Deborah L. Bontempt is asking, how many are we looking at vet-wise? How many vets? I'm guessing we don't have an answer to that.
No. Apparently there's 2 groups. They are helping with the cleanup. They're standing there with the protesters. but we don't know how many, and we don't know how many more they'll be able to get up that way.
Right. Linda Hope asks, is the DA that lays charges in the United States? That's correct. The district attorney, or maybe even higher, the attorney general can file charges. But yes, that is typically the model. It's the judges who hear the cases.
Yep. Except right now when things are getting pushed through without any kind of legal process.
Right. So, Springwater, Gina, Lycan Zokoe. Prayers and shares, Creator be with us all. Indeed, indeed. Hi, Pam Fox. Great to see you. Can we get the vets to come help us? Well, Pam, we don't have anywhere to send people right now. So,
yeah, that's a problem.
It's a real problem. And we're working on it, but, you know, it's a problem. And so we've got to kind of get some things figured out here before we can really start inviting people.
We all have to get our act together. And it won't happen overnight. And boy, I'm not judging in any way. We're all doing 1,000 things a day. But we need to better coordinate and collaborate to get this going. And part of what we talked about last night, I hope, is we can raise some money for the documentary, that we can also raise money so we can help some of these camps to survive when times get tough. You know, it often doesn't take a lot of money. We did a little fundraiser for, well, I keep drawing a blank on that one, Adam. What's the camp up north?
Sacred Water Camp?
Sacred Water Camp. We didn't raise a lot, but we raised enough to start helping them. Thank you to all you who gave to that. That one's still open if anyone still wants to donate. They didn't need a lot of money, but sometimes just a few dollars, there's no way to raise it, can really affect a camp. So, yeah, we're going to try to keep finding ways to bring some revenues into individual camps on a need-by-need basis and see if that helps.
So, let's get back to this. Are there no camps set up down there? Well, there are camps.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the problems is the camps are where the pipeline's already finished. The camps are basically up in North Florida. So there's they're not effective where they are right now. One, in fact, is not really intended to be a permanent camp. I've heard some rumors that maybe that's changing, but as far as I know, Water is Life Camp is not a permanent camp. The land that it is on is across the street from a couple, a husband and wife of water protectors, Cindy Knoll and Michael Roth, and so it's really up to. There's some things outside of our power that are involved with it. I don't believe it's actually their land, but they've gotten permission to use it. But there are some neighbors there who are, cantankerous and troublesome, and just generally speaking, that one we just don't expect to be here for years to come. Sacred Water Camp is a permanent camp as far as I know, but that is just one camp, and there's, like I said, all the action in North Florida is coming to a close for now, and now it's slowly moving further and further south. So that's up on the Suwannee River and Suwannee County and Gilchrist counties. We're now working down to Levy County, Citrus County, and then down to here into Central Florida, Sumter, Lake, Polk, and Osceola counties. Then we'll move south to DeSoto County as it follows down towards Martin County. So we have that camp. We have a camp that is a training camp over in St. Cloud called Crystal Water Camp. They can only hold 15 at a time, and it's actually sort of an intermittent camp. It has to be taken down every so often to clean up and for the organizer to get himself some creature comforts to keep himself going. So other than that, there's a Heartland camp and a Turtle Mound camp, but I haven't been able to get a lot of straight info about these. And every time we get a request for people to be sent to somewhere, nothing seems to match up. And so it's a problem.
Part of this too, folks, I'm really thinking as Adam's talking, and sometimes if I don't spill it out, I totally forget it. We may have to look at other models as well. There's a ton of water protectors. Look at how many of you are out there. I don't know how many are listening now, but hundreds or thousands will listen to this in the next day or two. There's water protectors everywhere in all kinds of groups. Maybe we need a process of somewhere where water protectors can sign up and they can host 1, 2, 3, 4 people in their house, on their whatever. So rather than camps where we have 15, 30, 45, 100 people, we have a lot of people who help a small number of protesters who come in to work with us. That's another model that may work. Maybe it's a mix of them all. Because trying to find land for these camps is difficult. And then when you do, if there's a lot of protests or actions going on, you often have law enforcement come down on those camps and try to make it difficult. When we were up there in the northern camp, what were we doing? Something really horrible. We were drumming for peace, drumming for Standing Rock, listening to our brother Roaming Wolf sing some of his Cherokee songs from when he was a kid. And the next thing you know, the cops showed up knocking on the door. We were outside, but you get the point. And although it was all polite and peaceful, you got to scratch your head. They're watching. And so let's think about that. Maybe that's something we can do. We, as the virtual arm of this thing, although now I'm in the physical and the virtual, but our group is in the virtual realm. Maybe that's something we can do. Set up a whole group of places.
Yeah, so with that in mind, if you are here in Florida, or even think about it, whatever's happening in your local area, if you are somebody who has some room, either in your house or you have a yard that people can camp in or stay at, and you wouldn't mind hosting some people, we should think about a coalition, or we can look into getting people to around an area where we can send people, sort of like a kind of a hostel type of thing, and we were reading earlier about the plans down in West Palm Beach. They wanted to scatter, so when Donald Trump came by, so to keep it hard to stop them. This actually makes it, like you said, hard. Because they can't shut down your drum circles or things like that. You're doing things on your own private properties. So we may have to start thinking about a more diffuse model, as opposed to that congealed model of having everybody at a camp. We're at a point where it's really by any means necessary. We have to think about all of our options, and we have to consider what fits our context best. And so far, honestly, this looking around for camps has been a Sisyphean a task. It's like pushing the ball up the hill, the rock up the hill, only to have it fall down on you.
And it consumes a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and because it's so thankless and so successless, there's not a whole lot of to feel good about it. It's a hard thing to deal with. So we'll have to think about other ways, of having, what would you call it? Host families? You call it surrogate families, something.
Water hosts.
Water hosts. So if you're out there and your wheels are spinning, give us some thought and see what we can do. Maybe you want to start a Facebook page, or maybe you want to help us do this. We have to, we'll do it, but if somebody else gets to it before us, you have our blessings getting this thing to work.
I think that's this might be a good place to try it here in Florida. Yeah, and I'm thinking, because Sue and I are heading over to St. Petersburg, and we got someone who's going to host us, and then when we move further south, we have someone to host us there. So that's helping us stretch our meager resources further, so we can do more while we're here and report back more to you. This would be the same.
Well, the cost for the host is already a sunk cost. They're already paying for their mortgage and their electricity, so it's really not, you can bring, but there are things that you can share with if you are one of the travelers and you bring somebody hosts you. Hopefully that you were raised properly, and you would, you treat them with the respect, and you do the things that you do when you're hosted by good people. So that's that. Daniel Carson says...
Here's one.
Okay, yeah.
This is a little different. We'll just go... Oh, they hope Adam plays guitar. Okay, so from Lisa.
Maybe at the end I will.
Okay. Jim is all bundled up. Adam's barefoot in shorts. Shows how age affects us. Lots of love. I'd even have a lap blanket with me. And much closer to the fire. That's true, but you'll notice since you wrote that, Lisa, Adam went and found a jacket. So it's getting colder.
It's a little chilly.
Yep.
So Daniel Carson says, hello, all walks of life, humanity. Thank you, Daniel. Sue Altmeter says she heard that the Dakota pipeline coming from Canada is not even finished in Canada. Input? I don't know about that part. I know the American part, though, is everything but finished.
Yeah, my understanding is that it is not finished in Canada. That there are some areas they were having problems with, some areas where protests were going on, some ecologically sensitive areas. That's all I know. I don't know much beyond that. Maybe if we have some other Canadians on here, you can let us know.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, tell us about it.
So we have Zio Ledieu. Thank you, everyone, from Sydney, Australia.
Oh.
It's another place.
G'day.
That particular continent also has a lot of fracking and a lot of things that certainly not good at all. So Deborah Bontemp, she says that we have been waiting for a response from Ohio Department of Transportation and a few others for who relinquished the patrol men to go to Standing Rock. No one wants to say who it was. Need more calls there. If anyone would want to volunteer, we need accountability. So it sounds like this area of Ohio sent law enforcement to Standing Rock to be the bullies. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's no bueno. We definitely need to keep them accountable.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve Bradfield, great to see you, my man. Let's see. Diane gives us thanks from Massachusetts. All right.
Excuse me.
Okay, and let's see. Create roving caravans to follow the pipelines and do maps with camping for overnight places and stop in between. Some states are easier to do that than others.
Yeah.
Texas is really easy to do that.
Yes.
Florida, not so easy at all. That's from place to place, you may have to make modifications. You may have to change strategies, the strategies that fit best.
Yep.
So in a big state like Texas, the caravan model that you just described would work great. It takes longer than a day to drive across Texas, so in both directions, north, south, and east, west. So that would work there. Not working here in Florida, though. I can tell you that right now. He's trying to do it right now, in fact, and it's been a little bit tough.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Lisa wants me to get some socks on. Not out here. Too dirty for socks. This is we're in the outdoors. I'm a rural boy. I like to get dirt on me. I don't mind a little dirt. It's makes me feel like I'm at home, right here in beautiful, peaceful Florida. Okay, so Rochelle Collier tells us that the Prime Minister rejected the XL pipeline.
He did, but I thought that was back in the news that they were.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
I thought I heard something recently that
was not pleasant.
And so Trudeau, while on the surface seems like there's a lot of great things about him, every so often something pops up, and maybe he's not that different than Obama was, because I feel like that's how Obama was too.
I agree.
There's a lot of things I really liked about Obama, but every so often, and it goes to show you that you don't have to adhere to every single thing that the person that you voted for, or the person you support, does. I mean, I'm critical of Obama for the things that he needs to be criticized for.
Likewise.
I feel like anybody who can't criticize their politician probably is blindly following them. Just the wool is covered over their eyes. Because there should be no one position that fits everything, that fits everybody.
That's right.
We should all be unique enough that there's some variation, that something is going to rub you wrong no matter what. That should just happen. And so if that doesn't happen, you should be suspicious that, something is amiss. Okay, so Sabian fills us in more here. He says that it's important that camps are set up on private property, where the owners do not own property which is used for camping that is mortgaged or connected to any of the banks which are invested in the Energy Transfer Partners or invested in DAPL. For example, Oswego Camp, Sacred Stone Camp, is on private property. The owner which camp is Ladonna's?
Sacred Stone.
Yeah. So
It is, but it's
it runs
not.
off here. There's no. Yeah.
And you see, there again is a problem. It is on private land, and it's not on private land. I'm still waiting to hear the whole story on that. Ladonna's family owns that land, but apparently there's something that it's jointly with the tribe. This is how I understand it so far. Don't hold me to this, folks. It's not owned outright. There's some tribal thing there, and then you also have the Corps of Engineers on part of it. So that's why they were able, that's what they used at least, as a reason and an excuse to come in to her land. So you can have, and I agree with you, I'm not disagreeing. It's best to have it on private land, so on and so forth. But don't think if they want to take out your camp that they're not going to find some way or some excuse to do it. I don't care if you're private or not. They will find a way.
Yeah, they sure will. They sure will.
I mean, they're doing it here in Florida.
Yeah. Well, Florida, they have a strong arm on us.
Yeah.
So it's we are not
Yeah.
we're not that free. I mean, for a state that's supposed to be conservative and people get to do whatever they want, or the people's rights, it's really not even close to being that. So
Somebody else mentioned here about
uh-huh.
in some places they're trying to do that where people are put up for an event or a action, and that's great. I mean, let's build on that. But I'm thinking more of a little longer term. Maybe we need, I don't know, 1,000 people in Central Florida right now to protest. So I'm thinking, okay, how can we spread that out amongst a lot of people who have a home or an extra room or blah, 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 where they can actually stay there for a while. So the presence is there and felt for as long as it's needed. So maybe it's a combination of both of those. Some people just come in for a weekend or a week, and others where, it might be several months.
It sounds like a great model. So Sue Altmeter, hold on, before that, Lisa Girardi says stand as one, transportation, I don't know if that was a double, but transportation and supplies Facebook pay has helped arrange a lot of lodging, a plate of food, shower, supplies picked up, fuel donated, etc.
Bingo, that's more the, yes, that's more
stand as one?
That's more the on the way to sort of thing, or if somebody might need a place for a night or two. So that's one model. That's a great model.
Right. So they're sort of like the Knights Templar, who helped the Crusaders on their way. Sort of.
They're sort of like. Help me out here.
So she says it's stand as one, transportation and supplies.
Yeah, and that's pretty much if you need a night here or a meal there. That's pretty much what that is, and it's effective, I think. But it's all. This is almost like the. In the days of slavery, what was the Underground Railroad?
That's another
bingo, folks. We need to escape slavery again for the how many time? And this time it's not just red or just black; it's all the colors. So yeah, maybe we're talking about creating once again an underground railroad,
an environmental underground railroad.
Yeah, environmental underground. Yeah.
I mean, it may come to that. I mean, I don't like to be a worst case scenario person, but
no, me either.
Given the way things are going, the way that the media is being cut down, we're talking about protest laws, we're talking about freedom of speech laws being, or lack of freedom of speech type of laws being put into place, that we are going to need maybe these type of underground railroad type things to make things happen, bring people together. I mean, that's certainly a great way for people to send messages, and even because we rely on electronic messaging and things like that, and that's all monitored by the NSA, monitored by Facebook, monitored by the Twitter, by whomever is the platform. Actually talking one-on-one, getting back to basics, and sending messages by traveling, and not. You know what I'm saying, and not just sending everything through electronic means. That may be part of the grassroots movement. So
it is
things to think about.
I think it really is. I think coming across country for us and being here in Florida, learning this firsthand, bringing it back to you, because all 135,000 people are not going to travel around, but some of us can, and air it back to everyone else. That adds a real physical presence to the virtual thing we're dealing with, I think. And that's really, 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 I can't tell you how important that is.
We talk a lot about connection.
Yeah.
And the importance of that.
Absolutely.
Communication.
Absolutely. Yes.
And what better way to do that than in person?
Yeah. And now with all these capabilities, all right, we have Adam who's particularly good with this, but if you just have a phone with the ability to, send something, you can do a lot.
Absolutely. So, continuing on here. So, Sister Ruth has a link here if you want to check that out. Well, she says, it looks like this would be a possible source for the movement here in Utah. So, very cool. Sabian has a correction here, and there's no way I'm going to be able to spit that word out right now.
Don't ask me.
It's, but I thank you for that correction. Let's see. Martial law occupation is alive and well on Turtle Island. Colonization never left. I can't disagree with that. We're certainly, we're seeing those vestiges of cruelty and what we saw with colonization.
Yes, this time it's a different polarization. It's gone by money and greed and wealth versus lack of money, lack of wealth, or just average money and wealth. This one's not by color or religion. The Native American folks started Standing Rock, so they became big targets. But it's not just about the red people up there. It's about all the others who came. And in other states, Florida, there's a lot of white presence. Flint, Michigan, there's a large black presence. On and on and on. I don't care where we are. This one's not about color or culture as much as it is about those who have already usurped a huge percentage of the planet's wealth, and they want to continue to rape the planet for the rest of it. And they're unwilling to give up any kind of compromise on that. To me, that's what this one's about. So the colonization this time affects us all. Not in a good way either. And these are the things we have to continue teaching, by the way, folks, not just ranting about. Uh-oh. I just lost my... There we go. Water is moving from Sioux. Water is moving underground. This whole movement takes me back to the hippie movement. So many similarities. Plenty Express, I love that. Peace, Sue. Yeah, it's interesting you say that because my phone's going nuts here. I had phone issues today. I think I got hacked. The hippie movement, the peace movement, the anti-war movement, I think we've talked about this before. Maybe not. There were not enough of us then. We were the outsiders and the freaks. There wasn't anybody to really back our flag. That has changed dramatically now. So this is much like it. It died suddenly back then. Those of you as old as me or older who remember it, you remember how quickly it died and suddenly. And that's because nothing could have happened to bring everything we wanted back then to fruition. I think that's changed. I think there's a lot more people now in a lot more walks of life, which I was just talking about. This is about all the colors. This is about male and female. We have the women marching. We have and I never remember the right letters, but the
ACLU, black. Yeah, lesbian, gay, bisexual, LBGT.
We have that whole group. And
yes.
I'm sorry, I forget the letters all the time, but I forget names too. So it's not a slight. So I think that's changed. There's a heck of a lot more of us. And thanks to some of the things going on in Washington now, that number grows daily.
Yep. Diane is requesting guitar, so we'll do a guitar session at the end of the program tonight. I'll give you all a song. I got to think about a song that I want to play for you all, so I've got some time to mull that over. Lisa Girardi says, they say the average human eats 3 pounds of dirt in their lifetime. I figured my kids got at least that much in their first 5 years of making mud pies with me. So back to my dirt ways of bare feet out here in the camping ground. Yeah, I mean, I certainly haven't eaten. I don't have pica. I don't eat dirt, but I'm certain that I probably put a few pounds of dirt in me at some point, eating, you know. I mean, you know, I'm kind of an adventurous, wild person. You know, I'll eat something off the ground, I guess. I don't know. I'll stop now. I don't need to tell you all about that stuff. Here we go. Rochelle Collier says that he, being Trudeau, approved Kinder Morgan pipeline, which has sparked the protest. Okay, so that tells us, right, so that basically verifies what you had heard about him. So our Prime Minister is making reconciliation to First Nations as part of his campaign promises. But I don't know. So Diane says, we survived just like the 70s underground worked, could work again until all opens again. So we'll see. We'll see if it is the way that we go. So the underground, I feel like it may be the way. We'll see. We will see. It seems like the authorities are attempting to target Chase Iron Eyes as a political pawn.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's absolutely happening. He ran for what? For Congress? I think that made him a target. He's well respected, well known. I think they would love to use him as a figurehead of how they're going to crush this whole movement. Chase is one person I really look to for balanced thoughts and reporting on what's going on. When I can't figure something out, I go try to find out what he said recently, and then I fact check from there. And believe me, the other side knows this too. They know who people listen to and who they do not. There's a ton of people out there sending messages, doing what we're doing right now. Some of them are awesome sources. Some of them, I go, well, their heart's in the right place, but they're not really capturing what needs to be captured.
Right. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, there's egos out there.
There's egos. Oh, yeah.
Egos, you know, me first.
Yep.
And as we know, that's just not the way this is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So Sabian gives us another update here. So yeah, there's a fence line on the far east side of Ladonna's property, which is the boundary of the Army Corps' property and the property across the road from Sacred Stone, the hill where they recently built Last Child Camp, where they arrested 55 protectors, is owned by DAPL. However, all of these ownership rights are being imposed.
Exactly. And that's what I was saying. Ladonna's land theoretically is privately owned, but as I've read and as I've heard from some people up there, there is some kind of thing where it's also owned by the tribe because some kind of papers were not filed a long, long time ago. And again, don't hold me to this, but that's what I understand as part of the issue. And this is what I'm talking about. If they want to find a way to come in, they're going to come up with either some legal thing that works, or they'll create something that works.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
All right, so we have actually caught up with all of our audience here.
Well, there's more coming.
Well, there will be more coming, but I'm glad that we got up to speed with them. So so here in Florida, we talked about the difficulties we're having with camps. We're talking about how far the Disabled Trail Pipeline has come along. We've talked a lot of negative about what's happening here, but I want to talk about some positives. So we've got some great water protectors here who are working hard, who are getting things organized. It's a slow, but it's a process that, you know, we have to get through. It's not that different than, you know, you're going to get some scraped knees when you learn how to ride a bike, you know, and we're kind of getting our scraped knees right now. And hopefully the experience and the knowledge and the maturity that we're gaining by going through these routines and through these repetitions and putting our efforts into this, hopefully it will bear fruit, and those fruit, we can use the seeds from those fruit to plant what we do next. And that's really, that's the focus here. And so when we talk about, you know, how it's going to be hard for us to host people here right now, that's one of the things that we're kind of, why I've been talking a lot more about what you can do in your local areas, because you can't always go to the front lines. There aren't always a front line, to be honest with you.
That's right.
So you need to be prepared to fight the battle, to address the situation, to address the issue from the angles that are available to you. So with the Standing Rock Folk somebody said, I think maybe it was Jim, but half of them are going to Texas, half of them are coming to Florida, something along those lines. That some of the camps split half and half like that. I don't know exactly what's up with that. I think Chester is the one who mentioned that.
Really?
When we spoke with him the other day.
Yeah, you could be right.
And so
I hadn't heard that.
we're that's a rumor and conjecture. I can't say that that's actually fact. Right. But no, we'll see what we can do. And as people arrive, if you are a Florida native, somebody who lives here, a Florida citizen, and you'd like to host somebody, let us know, or let somebody know in your local area, one of your local organizers for clean water. So Orlando's got organizers, St. Pete's got organizers, Southwest Florida's got organizers, South Florida, as in Southeast Florida, has organizers, the Space Coast has organizers, Jacksonville has organizers, North Florida has organizers. So there are people that you can be put into touch with, or that you can find your way into touch with some simple searches in Facebook. Also, you can check Twitter, some of the camps' Twitter feeds, or Stop Sable Trail Twitter feeds. The resources are out there, and if you need, we can see if you want to get in touch with us, and you're willing to host some water protectors. I'll be happy to field your private messages. That won't be a problem. Jim, everything going all right there? It looks like you're having some loading issues.
Yeah, I'm having all kinds of issues. Jody, yes, we talked about the transport thing. You must have cut out for a while.
Okay, so we're getting some more here. Yeah, so Lisa Girardi said Iron Eyes is not liked by law enforcement for sure, and certain because he's one of our leaders. So yeah. So Jody Jacquino says, did you guys see the transport thing?
That's what I just mentioned.
Yeah. So
yeah, we did. We talked about it.
Joey Howard says, how can we work together to get solar and renewables to more people? This is a question we might need to be asking. Start cutting off the demand. There's a lot of answers to that. So a lot of people want solar. Elon Musk is bringing solar to Florida here in Claremont, not too far away from where we are right now. Solar City. And Orlando is going to be a test market for Solar City. And Solar City also includes not just the power pack that Tesla has been developing all this time, but actually includes tiles for the roofs, roofing tiles, roofing shingles that are photovoltaic that will harvest the sun's energy. So what we need to do to work together is we've got to convince the people who are on the fence that the hydrocarbon industry, our reliance on hydrocarbons, need to end sooner than later. A lot of people are afraid of the change that comes because they are afraid that without gas, they see how inundated we are with petrochemicals, with hydrocarbons as our power source. This country still relies on, the last number I saw was 40% of our electricity still comes from coal, right? So we've got, wind, I think only accounts for 5% something, and solar, even with the recent explosion, still doesn't even account for 1% of our power. So we've got a significantly uphill battle to fight, especially given the political climate. How can we work together to get solar and renewables to more people? Well, it's going to start with the thing we talk about a lot, and that is having conversations, talking to people, talking to your friends, your family, your peers, your colleagues, about the importance of clean water, about the importance of clean air, about the importance of renewables, and the importance of solar. You may have people who you work with or members of your family. You've got that Uncle Joe who's just a cantankerous guy who just loves everything that is terrible. And
you know Uncle Joe too?
I know Uncle Joe. Yeah, everybody's got an Uncle Joe. And so are you asking me how to get him involved with solar and renewables? That's why we want you to talk to your own friends and your own families, because you know those people better than everybody else. You know the things, you know the way to get them interested in something. So that's the first step. And then whatever you have available to you, if you have the money, the resources to put solar in, do it. Do it. Don't wait till tomorrow. Start doing it right now, because as you draw your use off the grid, so the grid expects you to consume. As more and more people bring themselves off the grid, and that consumption level drops, that's the mandate that you're looking for, Joey. that's the mandate that says that we're not going to do it anymore. That we will harvest our own electricity. We're going to do this a different way, regardless of whether the big oil, big hydrocarbon, big utilities, regardless of what they want us to do.
Yeah, apparently now, though, they're trying to pass some additional laws so you can no longer sell the excess energy that you produce.
They tried to do it in Florida, and we
Yeah.
struck it down with the quickness. It ended up being a several $million mistake for the industry that was supporting it. So yeah, they're trying to do that. They are definitely trying to do that.
Somebody just mentioned again, I was going to mention it earlier, so thank you, whoever did it. Sabian. There is a Standing Rock Native Nations March on Washington, and that is March 10th. And while that is a Native Nations March, everyone is invited to be part of that march. I've been told by some of those organizing it. So that's one mark down on your calendar. Go to the calendar Jody was talking about. It'll be there.
WaterIsLifeMovement.com.
Yep, WaterIsLifeMovement.com. So yeah, that's the third person who mentioned that. I kept forgetting, so thanks.
Poppy Queen tells us the pipeline is building in Arkansas right now too.
I didn't know it's a new one.
Doesn't surprise me.
No.
Certainly, if they want to get their their gas and their oil and their other hydrocarbons out to the coast to export them, because that's really what's happening. That's what this whole thing is about. There's been a lot of talk over the last 10, 15 years by the conservative side that we want to get energy independent, and the idea behind it was that we were getting sick of getting our energy from the Middle East. And I mean, that's not incorrect. We certainly didn't need to be, but we didn't need to be using the hydrocarbons in the first place. We shouldn't have been relying on it. But what that is now the excuse that they're using to suck as much as they can out of the ground. And it's not energy independence anymore. Now they want to be the world's leader of providing energy. So it's not about America preserving itself, America protecting itself. It's about America making as much money as it can off of these hydrocarbons. So that's shifted. That paradigm has shifted, even though the people who are following that paradigm have not really seen that shift. So it's not about energy independence anymore. All these energy sources that we're talking about, they're not being shipped to anywhere for use for the most part. They are being shipped for export, and especially here in Florida. Florida Power and Light states on their own website that they do not expect Florida to experience a need for energy any more than we have already until 2025, 8 years from now. So in 8 to 10 years from now, hopefully we're much further off the hydrocarbon teat than we currently are now. So that's why a lot of us are not in favor of the Sable Trail pipeline, these other pipelines, because they represent a moribund technology, a moribund source of energy, and we want to do everything we can to divert investments into this decaying source into things that are more renewable and promising in the future, like solar, wind, and other renewable sources of energy.
Yeah, and we use the terms. I mean, one thing we have to do is get the people who are in office now out of office. That's for sure. You're not going to do much with renewables while they're in, because they'll do everything they can do to keep squashing it. Watch them now start to roll back all the renewable energy progress we've made in the last 10 or 12 years. So that's one thing we have to do. But this is really not even about conservative and liberals. I mean, it's an issue with all of these wealthy, greedy people who just want to keep going. But these folks we're calling conservatives, the ones in Washington right now and in a lot of the states, they're not conservatives. They're Neanderthals. Conservatives have a conscience.
An ethos.
Yeah, they have a conscience. They have a, when you talk conservative and liberal, you're talking groups who can discuss things, who are rational. That's not what this group is, in my opinion. They're not conservative at all. They're Neanderthals. They're troglodytes. They're, let's go back, let's just take everything we need, blah, 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 roll in the money. That's not conservative. It's downright stupid is what it is, because they're destroying the planet as they do this. So I don't even like the words conservative and liberal anymore. It does not paint an accurate picture. To say these people are conservatives is to do conservatives a great disservice.
I agree.
So let's just think of that as we move ahead with this.
Yep. Pam Fox tells us that she took the handouts to the hospital and put them in the doctor's dictation area last week. So great work, Pam. That's the type of things that, just little things to get this into the mind of people around us. Call to see if needed, right? So, Joey heard there was a company talking to native tribes about putting clean energy plant on southern land. That sounds pretty cool. That sounds great. Joey, most know that we rely on fossils, but don't know how to start to make the transition. That's a really good point. And we're at a point now where we are entering that age of the post-hydrocarbon age. And so the cost of solar has dropped dramatically. These wind farms are becoming more efficient. In Denmark, off the coast of Denmark, they just ran the most efficient wind turbine ever. And the amount of energy it put out was in the gigawatt, in a 24-hour period. So we're getting better and better. What we need to do, how to start making the transition. So to start making the transition is to start making small investments in your own sphere. So if getting rooftop solar, or getting even things more basic, starting a compost bin in your backyard. Things where you're creating less waste, because by creating less waste, you're creating less reliance on the hydrocarbons, the fossil fuels, both as a source of fuel and also as a source of material for the things, plastic casings, things like, you buy something, it's got a clamshell plastic thing on it. That's trash. Trying to cut down on things like that. Like you said, Joey, you even said it just earlier, no profit, no money, no demand, no profit. So that, you kind of answered your own question there. You want to nip it in the bud. You decrease or eliminate the demand. So I think that is the way I would approach it, at least how we are right now. So we've got some things that are available to us. I think some people may be reluctant to invest in solar because it is improving so rapidly that, people may think, oh, if I wait a year, the technology will be twice as good. And that's, when you sit down and you consider your ROI and you consider, the money you're spending and what you're getting out of it, you've got to think about that. So I don't hold that against anyone, but remember, we're reaching a critical point here. We're at a tipping point. So I don't know how much time we have left to sort of wait and see, where the economic curves cross.
Yep.
We're really at a point now where it's both going to benefit you no matter what, but also it's going to benefit a greater good, also no matter what.
If we begin to make everything about money like the other side does, then we start to become like them. So yeah, I think now is definitely the time. If this was 10 years ago, 15, I could see, okay, I got to wait a little bit. This thing is still developing. I think now's the time. It may get better, but I'm sure there'll be retrofits they can do as new technology comes out. So for now, you're saving money, and more importantly, you're saving the planet.
Yep.
And some communities, by the way, I'm sorry, have solar farms. Check and see if your community does. They have banks of solar panels, and you can buy into that. So you can get your solar energy from the community solar farms. You pay a fee to do that, of course, but that's also another way to jump into it without doing your own home right away.
Right. Absolutely. Always be aware of your options around you. So what we're doing is connecting people and talking about things on a larger scale. It's up to you to seek out what is nearest to you, and then share that with the rest of us so that other people know. So if you find that you have a wind farm in your community, then after you subscribe, after you get involved, then your best bet is to then let everybody else know that it's there. Do your best to get that word out.
Yep.
And encourage people to use it. That's another way we can get people on board with the renewables.
Oh, excuse me, sorry.
And that stuff. So Rick Sinclair says convert cars to hydrogen, electric. Even combustion engines can be converted to hydrogen. That technology, as far as I know, it's not quite as far along as some of the other technologies as far as the hydrogen.
Yes.
The electric I mean, yeah. I mean, if you can afford a Tesla or a Leaf or any of the electric cars, please do. But remember that the electricity that it runs off of, so if you get your electricity from a coal plant, it's not helping as much as you think. So we really need to get our utilities on board with using cleaner energies. So now there are energy stations that have, I've seen them around that are green, that are certified as from renewable sources. So if you do get an electric car, you may want to shop around for where you actually get your recharges. And actually, that would be a great reason to get solar panels, so that you can recharge your car. Okay, so here we got Pam, some type of permit to hand them out in the park downtown. First Friday of every month, they have lots of stuff going on there. I wanted to get cards made up at printer shop, like other girl did. She saw somewhere. So yeah, that was I forgot who posted that. That was Sue. That was Sue. And I do know it was Sue. So Pam Fox, that was Sue Altmeter. And Pam is talking from Lakeland, Florida. So if you're interested in that, that's where she is. People can build wind vanes along every major highway. That would help. That's an interesting thought. A wind vane would be to harvest some of that lost energy. That's not a bad idea. Let's see. An engineer in Syria just invented a car that runs on water. Its only waste emission is also water. So that would be interesting. It's always interesting to see these technologies and hear about them. And some of them pan out and some of them don't. One of them that did pan out was the use of French fry grease as a biodiesel. That's something I remember seeing in the 80s on like Ripley's Believe It or Not. And that's something that people drive around still, to this day. That's a real thing. So some of them pan out, some of them don't. All right, so Rochelle Collier, our Canadian friend, I'm back in Vancouver Island, says she's going to organize something against pipelines and reconciliation for First Nations on the res near her. That's great, Rochelle. You have our complete and total support. And please stay in touch and let us know how that goes for you. And we'll try to get as many people connected. If they exported solar tech and materials, they would make lots of more money and create many more jobs. So that's an interesting point. I don't know anything about the import-export of solar. I know we import a great deal of solar from China. China and Germany, I believe, are the two areas we get most of our solar from. I don't think that our solar industry is such that we have an export. I don't think we do. Yeah, so, I mean, I think we're still catching up. We are definitely still catching up. We're not at the lead. We are following others at this point. So Pam Fox says 8 to 10 years from now, we won't have any water, so renewables aren't going to matter. So going back to what I was saying about the importance of changing what we're doing now and not waiting for the money to catch up. Okay, so let's see.
Bye, Pam. Thank you.
So the movement, so this is Sue Altmeter. Yes, thank you, Pam. Thanks for catching that. This movement is about saving our precious planet and the generations to come. What we are trying to do is be the change we want to see in a mature and peaceful way. Couldn't say it any better. Ditch the garbage disposal too. I mean, I'm all about the compost. All about the compost. Turn off the water you don't need. The water when running to brush your teeth. Fix your leaking toilet. Absolutely, man. These are all great examples. And if you follow my Safe Water Waters Now Facebook page, I'm often posting things relevant to this. Because the conservation of water is a big, big thing to me. So the EPA actually, until the administration took over, had a lot of stuff on a regular basis that they would publish for different ways to preserve your waters. And they're out there still, I'm sure. You may want to download all of those materials onto your hard disk because how long that information will be around, I am not too sure of.
I'm not either.
So,
so here's Jody. It would only take a solar farm the size of Maryland to power the U.S. And yeah, I've heard that before. However, I really like Maryland because I love the Chesapeake Bay. I'm thinking, could we do the District of Columbia and just get rid of Washington, D.C.? That's just my thought.
Well, we should put a wind farm there.
There's already a wind farm there.
Well, we need to harvest the wind that's blowing out of there.
And that kind of hot air would probably make everything very scorched.
Absolutely. Well, that's both wind power and thermal, geothermal. So two birds in one stone. So gas house emissions. Gas house. Is that right? Gas house? Greenhouse.
Greenhouse.
Yes.
Okay.
You got me there for a second there, Rochelle.
Yeah,
Greenhouse emissions are for dirty oil are 2 to 4 times more than mining. So, I mean, yeah, I've heard all sorts of. It depends on the particular hydrocarbon, honestly. So, there's a whole spectrum. Right. But the fact of the matter is, putting carbon into the atmosphere is not acceptable anymore. You just, and we're doing it right here with this fire, I know. But it's this fire is, first of all, this is wood that would be burned anyways. We're in a controlled burn area, and that's part of responsible and sustainable forest management. So really what we're doing is part of a natural cycle that would have already been in place. So there's a difference between this and driving, your car and things like that. So let's make sure that we keep everything in perspective. I can't say that using electricity that came from coal is better than using gas. I mean, it's still, coal. In fact, I can talk about this a little bit because what coal has that gasoline doesn't have is the mercury that is poisoning all of our fish and all of our seas. So we can't really eat our fish here in Florida for the most part because of our coal plants that have poisoned the waters. So that is something. So no, you can't really make those. You can't make those apples to apples comparison because the metaphor that was used before is they're different type of apples.
Yeah.
It's a sour apple or a sweet apple or a small apple or a big apple, but nonetheless they are all apples that we should not be eating. So
it's funny because we were talking about that tonight too. When I was young, it was they always said eat all the fish you can as many times a week as you can because it was great for you, all those oils and nutrients. And now, as you're hearing Adam, you can't even eat the fish here. Florida, one of the big water places on the planet, and you can't eat the fish. That's kind of the direction we're going in.
It is, and so that's why all fossil fuels, all hydrocarbons need to be eliminated from use. And we need to start now. And it won't happen tomorrow. We can't flip a switch. And that's one of the arguments that you hear from the opposition. Well, you can't just do it right away. It's going to take time. And well, okay, we get that. We get it'll take time. So why are we waiting if it's going to take time? Let's start doing it now and get the time out of the way. So not a good argument.
I was in my mid-20s, had a little bit of money, and so I wanted to invest in renewable energy, which was just starting to be. And back then, that was the big argument. Well, we can't do it right away. We're starting. That's 40 years ago, people. They keep throwing the same garbage at us, and people sit there and say, oh, okay, I guess so. Well, we're not the kind, any of us, who are going to sit there and accept that. We can do it. We can do it now. We can do it tomorrow. All at once? No. But it won't take that long. All the technology is there. They can't say it doesn't work because there are numerous countries around the world who are already doing it, who are totally off fossil fuels, or at least half off fossil fuels. And believe me, half off is a hell of a lot better than totally on fossil fuels. Right now, Trump wants to begin coal mining again in a big way. They're talking about turning back the clock, and turning back the clock after we've already destroyed a good part of the planet. It's not a sane model, even for people who are greedy and obsessed by money. It's not a sane model.
Nope. So Michael Allen Weaver, hey Michael, thanks for tuning in. Our natural resources can't be replaced. Without them, every living creature and being on Earth will die. Pretty much true. However, the one thing I would say is that so the Earth has seen extinctions, large extinction events in the past. And what will often happen is it'll bottleneck. Just a certain small amount of organisms will make it through and bring on the next epoch. I feel like that would be the case here too. Life finds a way, as Jeff Goldblum has told us in movies. Really, so what we're looking to do, really, we got to save the humans. Back in the 80s, they said save the Earth. You know, it was all save the earth, but it's not save the earth.
No, it's not.
We are destroying habitats. We're destroying animals. But really, we're going to destroy ourselves before all that happens. And, you know, with global warming, if we go over that tipping point, a lot of animals will go extinct. A majority of them will. But some will still push on, and they will become the inheritors of the next earth. We don't seem to really deserve what we have. And so maybe, you know, if we don't shape up, the next inheritance,
we're going to ship out.
Yeah, they will get they'll get their chance. Maybe they'll do a better job than we did.
Yep.
You know, you never know.
So let's shape up.
So that's exactly.
Half of the animals that have existed from extinction have gone extinct in the last 50 years.
Yep. There's been some
Half
significant.
That's amazing.
Yep. So, let's see.
See you, Sue. Have a good night.
So Rick Sinclair says there are simple water kits to convert to hydrogen. So I'll leave that to Google to help you all with that.
Yep.
I haven't seen one. I haven't worked with one, so that's outside of my scope. But certainly look into it. If it's something you can afford, if it's something that works for you, then by all means, give it a shot.
Yep.
The water bearers are raising funds for filtering systems to provide clean drinking water. This is Lisa Girardi. So I'm not sure where that is. Hopefully Flint, Michigan is one of the places. But hopefully in communities that they're doing that. But here's the problem. Why do we have to filter our water so much? What is it that, you know, what we're trying to do is get us to a point where our water is clean and we don't have to process it.
That's right.
Because I want you all to realize, in order to clean our water, that takes energy. That takes electricity. So since we're using, like I said, 40% still coal, you know, we're still using a lot of fossil fuels. We're using fossil fuels to clean the water. So keep that in mind, that, you know, these processes are energy intense. And so we really need to find a sustainable method, to find a sustainable model. We need to take the cleaning part out and be preventative and keep it clean to begin with. That's my opinion on that.
Yep.
All right, so yes, as Jim said, Pam, have a great evening. We'll talk to you soon. It looks like Jim is way ahead of me here. Building the pipeline under the Mississippi.
For some reason, my screen shot all the way down. I don't know.
Yeah, that happens if you get a little something happen. So Michael Alex Weaver, so he's telling us about the Mississippi. That's going to kill the fish people catch, not only the fish, but every living creature that swims and drinks from the river, and even us. We all know that, and that's correct. And you know, the Mississippi would also be a victim of the Dakota pipeline if something went wrong, because that is the Missouri is a tributary of the Mississippi. All of that collects down the watersheds, so we've got to be aware of that. So Joey Howard says it's not only the carbon release in the atmosphere, the chemicals used in fracking are a disaster. Then the heavy water that is returned from the wells gets pumped back into the ground. That's absolutely correct. So there's some nasty stuff. Plus, the fracking gas itself that is in the earth has a lot of contaminants in it, in and of itself. Benzene and you know, a lot of just naturally occurring carbon ring-based chemicals that are carcinogenic, toxic, neurotoxic. You're absolutely right. And that gets into the atmosphere, gets into the local ecology. But we talk about that when we talk about the compressor stations with the natural gas pipelines, because the natural gas they're pumping through Florida, through the Sable Trail pipeline and through the southeast connection and the other branch pipelines, those are unrefined, so they still carry all the nastiness that they had from the moment they were fracked out.
Yep.
So Rochelle Collier tells us that the tar sands extraction contains arsenic-142, mercury, and a total of 14 toxic chemicals. So those tar sands are pretty much the nastiest of all the hydrocarbon sources. I've talked before about bitumens, and I'm not going to get into a big bitumen discussion today, but bitumens have been a source. We've been using bitumens as humans for many, many thousands of years, both as a source of fuel, but also as a source of other things. They've found bitumens on Egyptian mummies used as a sealant. It's basically like a resin. It can be used sort of like a tar. So those tar sands, much like coal though, are full of a lot of nastiness, and when they are processed, as Rochelle tells us here, they are disgusting. Hi Penny Miller, great to have you here.
So it's about 10 of 10.
Sue Altmeter, please have a great evening. Peace be with you.
He's gone.
Sabian, he currently lives in Illinois on the Mississippi. You can't eat the fish out of it either due to upriver pollution from factories that dump waste in it. And it's recommended if you fish out of it that you do not eat more than one fish a month out of it. And so, yeah, you know, the Mississippi, you think about all the tributaries of the Mississippi, one of them being the Ohio River.
Yep.
So my mom grew up in Ohio, in Cuyahoga Falls, where the river infamously caught fire while she lived there, but also many, I think a total of 5 times through history. If a river is able to catch fire, then it's pretty certain that whatever caught fire is being shipped or is flowing down the rest of the way. So
Yep.
I would venture to say that the Mississippi has been too dirty to eat out of probably for a good 50 or 60 years now. And it's probably only getting worse. And that's certainly a cautionary tale of the Mississippi. And it's one of the most navigated rivers in the world, if not the most navigated river. So it's a sad story, you know. And sometimes, you know, you see the Mississippi and it looks dirty because it's maybe the wet season and that's just the mud and the silt in there. But you know, I mean, you know, I've driven over it. I've never actually walked up to the Mississippi, but it just doesn't feel like a clean waterway. And it's a sad, you know, fact of the matter. Margie Standard asks, how many pipes have spilled in 2016? I don't have a number for you, but what I do understand is it's close to 1 per day.
Yes.
So I don't like to put out numbers that I don't know definitively, so I can't say that, but what I have heard is close to 1 a day. That is actually, you may be able to find that information. There's a organization called SpectraBusters.org. So that's SPECTRA Busters, BUSTERS.org. Let me see if I can enter that in here. And they have a lot of really good information pertaining to that those type of inquiries. So I will direct you to them. I believe it's .org. It could be .com. But I'm 99% sure it's .org. So I'll put that in there. Sabian says, actually, the Asian carp that have been introduced into it, which is an intrusive species, has been and is currently destroying just about half of the species of fish, which are native to the Mississippi here in the Midwest. So yeah, the carp thing is something they tried here in Florida too, and they nixed it pretty quickly. They used it to try to clean up the hydrilla, and it was effective, but we had an issue, as I recall, and I'm going back to 20 years old memories and knowledge, that it ended up not working as well because, again, of the invasive issues. So Jody Jacquino says over 300 spills in 2016 alone. So that's consistent with nearly 1 per day. Margie Sanders says, thank you.
That's what I had heard. And I also heard that they reported on 16 or 17 of them. The rest of them were never reported out.
Right. That doesn't surprise me. So Lisa says they have the Asian carp in Lake Michigan as well, but they so far have kept them low, but they are starting. So, you know, your mileage varies based on where you are. Here in Central Florida, they didn't get out of control, but I know that they stopped introducing them, and I think they put they made sure that to be honest with you, they cleaned up the hydrilla problem, went away. We don't have that hydrilla the way it was in the 80s and 90s. So it seems like it resolved itself, and then it's possible that the carp, the environment here just wasn't as favorable for the carp once the hydrilla was eaten, that the local species ate them, or anglers were encouraged to catch these carp. So, you know, it varies from place to place. The Mississippi, though, is the thing about the Mississippi is it's a water that's connected to so many waters, very biodiverse, that you're playing with a lot more there, aren't you? Yeah. Okay, so Sabian says, I bet that doesn't include explosions either. Yeah, so the explosions part, you know, I know that there was one in Alabama. There's been a couple. There was one near the Turnpike in Florida a couple of years ago. The explosions, fortunately, are less frequent than the spills and the breaches, but
there's still a lot.
They're more than we should have. which, any number greater than 0 is too many. Okay. Okay, I have some things I need to do, but thank you for spending the evening with us, Lisa. No, thank you for spending the evening with us.
That's right.
The pleasure is all ours.
I've got some things I need to do soon, too. I think it's called sleep, but I think everybody's getting tired.
All right, so Michael Alex Weaver asks, why do some people rely on companies to keep the environment clean after oil leaks? By the time they decide to clean up the environment from pollution, oil, or any other kind of environmental hazard, it'll be too late. We should be relying on natural energy companies. Since nature supports us all, we can't eat money. That's a good question. But that's part of the putative part of, when these spills happen, like the Exxon Valdez.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they fined Exxon, and then they made Exxon clean it up. But
that's like the fox guarding the hen house.
It is, and I think that's Michael Alex Weaver's
right,
point here. And so we certainly, we need to get better at this, but we need to. I mean, really, we just have to focus more on getting towards spill-proof answers to our problems. It's just not acceptable to say. It's not acceptable to believe that there are acceptable amounts of spills for any given hydrocarbon technology, and that's how these companies operate. That they have a ledger, they have a bottom line, and they have a couple of data points, and they basically determine that there's a certain amount of spills that they can financially cover, and that they can get away with without creating too big of a PR disaster. I mean, these are really smart people with a lot of time and being paid a lot of money, being compensated very well to come up with ways to keep that cash flow, to keep that cash cow milking. And so, so why do we rely on them, Michael? It's because that is, we've been kind of put in a position where we don't have a lot of recourse other than that. I mean, we've got our Sierra clubs, we've got our Greenpeaces who also step in and try to help.
Yep.
But we need more of that. We certainly do. And, hopefully talks like this, or hopefully you all talking to your friends, families, colleagues, we can open minds and we can get people more attentive to ask questions like that, Michael. Ask questions like Michael's questions. Why aren't we doing this? Yeah. And this is the type of dialogue that I talk about when I'm talking to people. And so, thank you for that question, Michael. Poppy Queen gives us a good night. Good night in Arkansas, Poppy. Thank you for being with us. All right, so we're kind of. Let's see, we're at the 2-hour mark. We did it again. We got it to 2 hours. I know that my light is running out of batteries, so it's going to kill at any point. I know I promised a guitar song. I'm going to have to pass on that. Sorry, Diane.
Oh, man.
And, I'm just not going to do it tonight. We'll do that again, though, later. But certainly, so if we started at 8, it's been 2 hours, so it means it's 10 p.m. here. And so that would be 7 p.m. on the West Coast. And that would be 3 a.m. in London. So, you have any parting thoughts, Jim?
No, I think we covered a lot of ground again. And that's good. I mean, that's what these shows are going to be about. And we did what we said in the beginning, which is great. And I'm trying to catch up on notes, folks. I know we missed a few, but we get as many as we can. We did a little bit about upcoming actions. We did a little bit about the politics. We did a little bit about nature. And now we're talking a little bit about the whole sustainability piece of this. And that is the next part. And we need to start talking about that even as we're working on saving the waters. Because we need to know where we're headed.
Yep.
To just stop them, that's nice. But if we allow them to come in through a different door and do more of this, we haven't accomplished anything. So.
Right, we have to keep this going. We've got momentum. This is we can't let this die like other ones have. We have to, we've got to push forward.
Yeah.
This is such an encompassing, when I talk about the other ones that died, the Occupy movement fell flat on its face. A lot of these movements, but the Water is Life movement, this movement, there's something more to this than that. There's more substance to this. This is something that everyone deep inside should and could relate to. I say, on average, the human body contains 65% water, and babies and infants can be up to 80% water. So that makes water the most prevalent molecule in your body. I don't know how more I can press the issue with that, right? I mean, water is important. So I want to leave with one last comment here. So Sabian says, hey guys, great discussions tonight. I must say I'm a little jealous of you both right now. I lived down there in Osceola County for about a decade. Missed that beautiful weather and the smell of the sacred earth in Florida. Well, gentlemen, I've got to bounce. It's certainly been an honor, and I'll be following you and hope to catch you. It cuts off, but I'm sure he says later again. That's awesome. Sabian, it's great having you. Thank you so much for your participation, for your input. Without a lot of other people, without everybody who was there, we would not have had what we had tonight.
Yep.
If you want to, you can follow my personal page. I do a lot of work down in Osceola County pertaining to the Sable Trail Pipeline and the southeastern connection. So I spend a lot of time down there. Celebration, Champions Gate, Davenport, Intercession City, Kissimmee, St. Cloud. One of our camps is in St. Cloud, and I actually live right up 545 near Winter Garden from Osceola County. It's a straight shot down an Orange Grove Road that I've always taken. So please follow us and stay tuned and live vicariously through us down here, because you're right, the earth here, that Florida earth, it's a very rich smell. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Have a great evening, Sabian. Diane? Yes, next one I'll give you 2 songs. All right, so I'll pay an interest. I'll give you interest on that. So Pam Fox just joined, but Pam, we are just now, we're taking out of here. So
and Pam was there before, so
she was before, so and she gave us some information. Pam has been, I just want to take one more moment to say, Pam actually has been an active member of the Central Florida Water Protectors, and she worked to help us find a spot at one point, and she talked to the folks out at the Maddox Ranch out near Lakeland in Polk County. So Pam is more than just a member of the audience. Pam is actually an active member of the Water Protectors. So I want to send her a special thanks and a shout out for everything that she has done thus far and will continue to do. All right, so Michael, the last comment I'm going to read, and then I'm going to cut this off. So if money's all these companies care about, they'll only clean up the environment for money. They don't care about nature, water, or any of us. Being paid to do what's right doesn't mean you actually are doing what's right. You're doing it only for the money, not out of the goodness of your heart. So that's really it. I mean, it's the bottom line. Is it profitable to clean? And for these companies, that profit comes in the form of PR, public relations. So if it costs, cleaning up a spill may cost the same as running an ad campaign. It may be just as effective, or actually they'll run ad campaigns side by side with that. So you bring up a good point, and I'm going to leave us on that note. So tomorrow, I will be returning to the world of work, where I will be exchanging my time for money. Much like Jim Morrison said, trade in your hours for a handful of dimes. That's what I'll be doing. But Jim and Sue will be either moving on, or you may be staying one more night. No? Has that been determined?
No, working on it in a moment.
So if no matter where they go, though, Jim will be posting, maybe even doing some live feeds. So be sure to follow them. And I will also be posting on my SaveFloridaWatersNow.org page and Save Florida Waters Now Facebook page. Again, that's Save Florida Waters, the plural, Waters Now.org or on Facebook. You can also follow me on Twitter at Save FL Waters Now. And there's also an Instagram attached to that, but I have not been posting to it yet. So, and there's also a YouTube channel for Save Florida Waters Now, where you can find a lot of our discussions and the bulk of a lot of the things I've been doing. So, after that little self-plug, is there anything you'd like to mention along those lines too, Jim?
No, keep following on the Facebook groups, the Standing Rock Protectors group, Water is Life Movement group, all the other groups around water and around nature. Our website for the nonprofit is Sanctuaries of the Earth Mother. That's www.sotem, wkim.org. We have a YouTube site with several hundred videos on there, all types, from spiritual to shamanic to nature to water to some of the things we've done around the world. Feel free to, and our old radio shows. So feel free to visit any of those things, and feel free to tag in, send messages if you like. I can't always get to them right away because we're doing a lot and we're moving around a lot. But I will get to them sooner or later. So as long as you have a little bit of time, do that too. And listen, because as Sue and I continue to take this journey, we will continue to send things. I think Adam will connect with us again. We'll be doing some more.
Oh yeah. I'll be catching back up with them.
Yeah.
My home base is Ocoee. But so since they're going to be itinerant, kind of, doing the gypsy walk, I send them to do their thing, and, I get to maintain, we all have to make sure that we keep ourselves going too.
Yeah.
So I've got to work, gainfully employed, but when I'm not, you will find me with Jim, and we will be continuing to do live feeds similar to this, so long as we have the internet connection to do so.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, like what I did last night, is I'm going to bid you all adieu, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the camera on the campfire and give you all a little bit of peace and serenity as we burn our last pieces of wood here, and you all can smudge yourself in this Florida spirit and enjoy. So I saw that Donna, you just joined us. I'm sorry that you just missed us, but remember, people who joined late, people who are just joining now, this is a video that you can go back and watch.
Yeah.
So we actually, a majority of our audience isn't even during the live session. It's overnight and over throughout the day the next day that we get a lot of hits. So you save the link, or bookmark the link if you want to refer back to this, because we did include a lot of great information in this conversation, and we'll
share
see.
it out with your friends.
Yep. Yeah, share it with your friends.
If you got something out of this, share it.
Absolutely, yes. If you feel like you got something out of this and that other people can, then by all means, share. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a ceremonial log onto the fire here. Well, actually, I'm going to put two. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and say my salutations. So, again, Adam Dubbin with Save Florida Waters Now here. We're at Wekiva Springs, Florida, National Park. And my friend here, Jim Graywolf Petruzzi, and our other friend, Sue Graywolf Petruzzi, who did not join us tonight, but is here with us in spirit.
Yep.
We all wish you a great evening. All blessings that come your way, may they continue.
Water is life.
Water is life. Mini Uchoni.